What do they call you? Wheels?
Hey everyone, it's Wills here, and in today's video I'm going to be doing a breakdown of X Factor Issue 1, which features mutants working for the government, satire, parody, and even TikTok. It's also my most anticipated series of the From the Ashes era, but did it really live up to the hype? Well, you'll just have to watch and find out, so join me as I break down this story for you. Written by Mark Russell with art by Bob Quinn, the story opens with Roger Broderick, the producer of hit shows Marriage Ape and Jail Chef, as the face of a recruitment advert for Mutants of America. Although Krakoa is over, Broderick claims that the America of today is different. It's where mutants can be accepted and respected. Yeah, likely story. And for certain mutants with certain skills, they'll even get an opportunity to work as part of X Factor. The footage is being reviewed by a General Mills in a secret military base, Nevermore. Now, honestly, this just made me think of the 2000 secret mutant concentration camp, Neverland. However, there isn't a connection, so don't worry about that. Mills is frankly unimpressed by the ad, but Broderick claims that over a dozen mutants are now lined up, ready to be part of X Factor. The General is also very skeptical, as mutants are so hated, but Broderick believes he knows just how to make X Factor popular. Meanwhile, we finally get introduced to this brand new X Factor team, who are all currently attending a red carpet. First of all, we meet the X Factor's leader, someone we should all know, Warren Worthington III, aka Angel, who was an original X-Men member and an original X Factor member. Next to be interviewed is Rusty Collins, aka Firefist, a codename no one uses. Now, to newer X-Men fans, you might actually know Rusty as Russell from Deadpool 2.
I'm getting good at this shit.
But in the comics, Firefist actually has a long storied history with X Factor specifically. Rusty debuted in the very first issue of X Factor in 1986, where he was rescued by the original X Factor team and taken in as one of their wards, where he stayed for the majority of the run before leaving and joining the New Mutants for a brief stint. Then, in 1995, after joining Magneto's acolytes, Rusty is murdered by the Age of Apocalypse villain Holocaust, and Rusty stayed dead. Until now. Yes, X Factor number 1 is Rusty's biggest appearance in almost 30 years. Then we meet a brand new character for the X Factor series, Daniel Choi, aka Zyber, a 17-year-old who, as the crowd shows, is completely unknown.
Who?
The crowd also boo the next member of this newest X Factor team, Maria Calasantos, aka Feral, a cat mutant who was an original member of the X-Force team and, much like Rusty, is having the most prominent appearance since she was murdered by Sabretooth in 2010. And finally, we have another famous X-Man joining the roster. It's Beast. No wait, it's actually the other new character, the shapeshifting cameo, much to the dismay of the crowd. Aww. This entire red carpet has been funded by ClickClock. Yes, the Marvel Universe's very own legally distinct version of TikTok, and it is not going well for any of them, particularly Angel, who discovers that he's being paid for by the like.
Is maybe gonna work?
Hide the money, y'all! There's poor people around!
And whilst Broderick tries to cheer him up by reminding him that he's the A-list star in this situation, honestly, low bar, he gets an egg thrown at him because he's a chicken. An underground mutant organisation has shown up to protest X Factor, as they still believe in the utopia of Krakoa, and so see this as a big betrayal. The entire team are rushed into taking a group photo, Warren still covered in egg, and then face even more protests from the crowd. Both the anti and the pro-mutant protesters are screaming at them to go back to Krakoa. Whilst the team worry about the negative reception they're receiving both online and in real life, Broderick takes them to their new base in the Hollywood Hills, the Factor House. Now this is 1000% a reference to the Hype House, which is where a bunch of TikTok creators live together in a house to make content for TikTok. Of course, for this X Factor team, they will be going on missions for the US military and making content for their partners at ClickClock.
My pronouns are USA.
My pronoun.
It is a very nice house though, as it includes both a pool and a gym in the basement, neither of which I have, so. Trying to calm Angel's fears, Roger decides to reveal some of the other mutants that have lined up to join the X-Factor team, including Alex Summers, aka Havoc, another long-time X-Man member and X-Factor member, and Joanna Cargill, aka Frenzy, a reformed villain who has gone on to be an X-Man and most recently a space diplomat for Krakoa. Roderick then brings up how Clicklock fans will go crazy for when Angel first transforms into Archangel, to which Warren brings up that he can no longer do that, which is a significant change from the last time we saw him. Angel is also confused about Havoc, as the last time Angel saw him, he was a zombie, which is a long story, but here's the shortened version. So, after the third Hellfire Gala, mutants had been scattered across the globe and universe, and the main X-Men team went into hiding in the sewers. Madeline Pryor, the clone of Jean Grey, and the newly assigned Queen of Limbo, decided she'd set up her own X-Men team in the pages of Dark X-Men, which included her partner Havoc, Gambit, Angel, and a few more obscure X-Men characters as well, like Azazel, Emplate, and Wolverine's clone robot, Albert. On their very first mission against Orchis, Havoc was fatally wounded, and so Maddie used her magic to keep him alive, at the expense of him basically becoming a zombie. Now that was the last we saw of Alex until the X-Men from the Ashes Infinity comic. In this story, Lorna Dane, aka Polaris, attempts to see Havoc at the Limbo Embassy, and after being pushed away, one of Limbo's demons, Curb, decides to actually help Alex be healed of his rotting body. It is then revealed that Maddie actually placed a hex on Alex to keep him in this weakened state so that he wouldn't leave her and that she could keep him safe. Now to me, this doesn't really fit Maddie's vibe of free will and not being controlled, but I'm not the writer. After recovering, Alex then decides to leave the Limbo Embassy and Maddie behind and starts to rekindle a relationship with Polaris. And that's all you need to know about Havoc before this issue. So back to the comic at hand. Whilst all that's happening in Los Angeles, over in Malibu, Havoc is telling Polaris that he's actually just applied to join X-Factor. Lorna does not agree with this because he literally just came back from being a half-dead zombie. She also reminds Alex that her name is Polaris, and that they are both mutants. It's nice to see Polaris, daughter of Magneto, be such a staunch defender in Krakoan culture, particularly in regards to mutant names, which has basically been dropped by this point. Havoc tries to clarify why he's going to join X-Factor, when he knows that he'll just be used by them. He thinks that with the absence of Krakoa, there is going to be a new mutant arms race, with various countries and paramilitary groups gathering mutants, and whoever wins will define the fate of the world. With that, we go back a few months to Havoc having a meeting with Darkstar, a mutant who is commonly associated with the Winter Guard. For the X-Men fans here, Darkstar is probably most well known to you for almost dating Iceman in The Champions, and then getting murdered by Weapon 12 in the Channel Tunnel in the pages of New X-Men. She has since returned to life though, and has started a new organisation, X-Term, a military group of mutants that have decided to fight for themselves. And now she is inviting Havoc to join, as they see the base below. Now, Havoc turned down Darkstar, big surprise, and opposes her idea that there's a mutant world and a human world. He just sees the world, because we all live in it. Whilst he doesn't think X-Factor is perfect, he does think he can do more good inside the team. Polaris corrects him and says that you can't change the system from the inside. The system changes you. And with that, Havoc storms out the room and clarifies that his name is Alex, not Havoc, which is both a clear reference to his infamous M-word speech from Uncanny Avengers, where he decided he'd rather be referred to as Alex than as a mutant, and to show how diametrically opposed both his and Polaris' views are. Back in the Factor house, Angel, Feral and Zyber are all in the gym training when an alert goes off telling them to prepare for a mission. And the mission is taking on X-Term. As the team fly towards the enemy base, X-Term notices and begins to fire on them. Zyber needs to jump out of the plane, but he's a 17-year-old with no battlefield experience whatsoever, so he hesitates because he doesn't want to die. Angel doesn't have time for any of that, and so just pushes him out of the plane, catching him and taking him down to the ground, reassuring him that no one is going to die. And the rest of the team land with the X-Gel. Cameo shapeshifts into a generic member of XTERM and goes off to infiltrate the base, whilst Rusty starts taking on enemy robots. Zyber begins to use his mutant ability, which is described as a strong EMP, which is potentially very deadly to biological life and super radioactive. As he explodes with power, all of the robots are shut down, and Rusty is saved from getting strangled. Angel then makes his way to the primary target, where Feral is planting the explosives, something she has never done before. And then they are both confronted by Darkstar. Lania and Warren have a little back and forth before he tells her that she's going to get arrested either way. And then one of the XTERM guards raises a gun to Darkstar and orders her to surrender. It's Cameo in disguise. The other guards immediately tackle Cameo and his gun starts to fire, with the bullets bouncing around the chamber and one hitting the explosives. Outside of the cooling tower, Rust, Firefist.
I mean, look! Fire. Oh my god. I can't say it! I'm so sorry!
Is carrying an exhausted Cyber to safety when the cooling tower explodes. In the shadow, Rusty tries to make a run for it, leaving behind the young mutant before the tower collapses right on top of him. And then we cut to a news broadcast which details xfactor's less than successful raid on XTERM and how a few of their members are dead or fighting for their lives. Those being Feral, Rusty, who Zyber sees in the rubble, and Cameo. As for Darkstar, well, she survived, so XTERM lives on. xfactor literally can't do anything right. Now this was a very shocking moment and immediately takes me back to the previous X-related book that was a satirical comedy all about mutants becoming celebrity superheroes, X-Statics. This book, starting in 2001 as X-Force, began with a roster of entirely new characters that were mostly all killed in the very first issue. And so, for the second issue, an entirely new team was established. For X-Statics, that moment worked because all the characters were brand new. It hits a little differently here though, as Rusty and Feral were, albeit more obscure, well-established characters, and they had both just spent a decade or more being dead. Having them being killed here for jokes, after just coming back to life, leaves a sour taste in my mouth, even if I do get the comedy behind it. And frankly, if you are going to kill some X-Men characters, these are going to be the ones you kill. And before you say, but Feral looks like she could survive that injury, the letters page to issue 3 included an in memoriam section for all 3 X-Factor members, and it is never disputed throughout the rest of the series, so they're dead, for good. And this time, there's no recurring resurrection to bring them back. You might also be thinking, if Feral and Cameo died in the cooling tower, then what happened to Angel? Well, he did survive, but he's in a hospital with severe injuries, so he's out of commission as X-Factor's leader for the time being. He apologizes to Broderick for failing as leader, but his manager/producer could not be happier, as the team's popularity has skyrocketed on ClickLock. Broderick understands the way to get America to love mutants. It's by getting mutants to fight other mutants, because what do humans love more than mutants who hate other mutants?
Does that make sense?
And people are driven by the story, the narrative, not the characters. They don't matter. And so the people are completely interchangeable. And with that, we're back at another ClickClock red carpet with a brand new X-Factor team, one that the crowd loves. Amongst that crowd, by the way, is Polaris, who is disguised as a member of the Mutant Underground. The new team consists of Havoc, the indestructible Frenzy, who actually first debuted in the original X-Factor series, Dr. Cecilia Reyes, who can generate force fields, the fire manipulator Pyro, the young Zyber, and another brand new character, Granny Smite, an 84-year-old woman who has just discovered that she cannot die. And that is X-Factor. And in the bonus digital page that was included with all the number ones at the time, Roger Broderick is discussing X-Factor's failure with General Mills at the Nevermore facility. Whilst the military aspect failed, his mission to boost the team's popularity was a complete success. General Mills agrees, but stresses that things can get so much worse, particularly if it is discovered what they are keeping locked up in their top secret sector. So I thought X Factor issue 1 was intriguing. Mark Russell clearly had some message he wanted to tell in regards to social media and the military-industrial complex, whilst also allowing for some more comedic elements, making it a completely different book to anything else in the From the Ashes line. It didn't always work, but I was ready to see where it would go beyond the first issue. And whilst I'm not a fan of Rusty and Farrell being taken out in the first issue like this, I do understand the importance of stakes. You can't just kill off the new characters every time. Bob Quinn's work was absolutely stellar, and I really appreciate his style of art, where it's cartoonish but it doesn't veer into exaggeration of proportions. And he really sold all of the physical gags. Therefore, just on this issue alone, I'm going to rank X Factor issue 1 a 6.5. However, at the time of recording, issue 1 was 11 months ago. The series has now actually concluded, with issue 10 being its finale. So I thought I'd share some of my non-spoiler thoughts on the series as a whole. Now, at the very beginning of the video, I said that X Factor was one of my most anticipated books of this era. Why was that? Well, first of all, I've pretty much always enjoyed the X Factor title, from the original X-Men reunion under Louise Simonson, to the 90s government team under Peter David, to X Factor Investigations, and Leah Williams' X Factor on Krakoa. It's been a constant for me, and the idea of a new satirical comedy book seemed fresh and intriguing. Secondly, the roster, in particular Dr. Cecilia Reyes and Frenzy, was a big sell for me. I'm always rooting for the underrated X-Men to get their shine, and this had so much potential for them. I mean, for Frenzy, this pushed her all the way up into the top 100 X-Men characters. So, did it live up to my expectations? No. In short, it did not.
I was rooting for you. We were all rooting for you. How dare you?
Whilst the series began with some really strong character choices for the roster, none of them felt like themselves throughout the book. It was like they were all blank slates just there to fulfill the story's purpose. And as was actually mentioned in the first issue, it was like they were completely interchangeable. Now, I think this would work with a cast of all new characters, but for characters with 30, 40, 50 years of history, it did not land for me, though I did love Zyber and Granny Smite. Additionally, the satire and commentary just didn't feel that groundbreaking or all that new or relevant. Honestly, if you want to read a satirical book from the X Office, you're better off reading X-Statics from 2001. And that's my breakdown and review of X Factor issue 1. So, how did you find the issue? Did you like it? Did you not like it? And now that this volume has ended, where would you like the characters of X Factor to appear next? Let me know down below in the comments, and I'll see you all in the next video.